So, welcome to everyone. This is the first episode of a stupid idea that we've had to talk about anime. Colin and I think, have been threatening it for a long time,
Long
a very,
time indeed.
a very
Very
long
much so.
time. So, maybe we should talk a little bit about our history with anime in general. I mean, you can start. You have quite a storied history with anime, I feel.
Um, sure, sure. It's been 20 years, I suppose. I've been kind of watching it on and off. Have back in the day in the 90s. That's right. The 90s. That's pre-millennial, guys. Jesus. How old am I? Old enough. Old enough. Um,
Old enough to remember the 90s.
Old enough to remember the 90s. Which is funny because this is what our anime is talking is
God.
made in.
Yeah, we'll get that. I mean, if you haven't already figured
Yeah.
out by the lovely frame that we have, we're going to be talking about Golden Boy. Um,
Yeah, or the intro.
yeah, or the intro. That's true. The one where it said the title, and then also I think the name of
Yeah.
the first episode.
No, that's I think that's the name of the series.
Oh, you
The
know what? So
Wandering
it is.
Student.
You're right. The Wandering Student. So yeah, you've been watching anime for a long time.
I have, yeah, yeah, for a very long time. So back in the 90s, I suppose I came into it by watching Dominion Tank Police,
Nice.
as one of my brother's friends brought it around, with much to my mum's disgust because of the big sexual stripping S scene that right at the start of the first OAP on that. Yeah, good
There's
old
certainly
Pima and Una.
certainly a lot of that in Dominion.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, just mainly that bit. Anyway, that was the cat androids, and then I kind of watched other stuff. But I ended up watching Ghost in the Shell, and then Ranma one half.
I never got
Like,
into Ranma one half.
pro- it was kind of cool. The first three seasons were where it was at, and then four, five, six, and seven just slowly trailed away. Never actually watched the movies as such.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not know there were movies.
There's like there's like six movies.
Six
Because of
movies.
course they are. Or feature lengths, should I say.
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah, and then in my student days, that's pretty much when I started watching it. Second year of student days, which was what 2000. Kind of
Love
watched
remind
it
you.
on and off. Yeah, watched it on and off, and then still watch it today. What was the last thing I watched? Oh, I watched that Blood of Zeus
Oh,
anime.
how did we describe this again? Was it an anime because it's a Netflix anime?
An anime? Yeah, I suppose that would be the best way to describe it because yeah, it's made by Greek people, I'm sure. Certainly looked like they had Greek directors in it by the names, the surnames,
It's quite interesting.
which is pretty cool. Also, it does just demonstrate how much the fucking prick. Are we
Zeus.
doing swearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Fucking yeah, yeah.
okay.
I'm
That's
I'm
fine.
not
Just
gonna lie
making
to you.
sure.
Like we're making the decision now, and I'm gonna talk to you about this on air. I am not going to edit out all of the swearing. This is there will be despite the fact we are talking about this live, the intention is to sort of release this as a podcast as well. And if you're listening to that as a
Yeah,
podcast now, it has been successful.
yeah, it has
Mm-hmm.
to a point. If you listen to it,
To a
anyway,
point, yeah.
yeah. So that's the last one I watched, but I watched the Japan Sinks 2020 or where it was,
Mm-hmm.
or an anime, I think, on Netflix. Um, I don't know. I watched all the cult classics, Dragon Ball, eventually, like 30 years after it got released.
That
I never
yeah.
watched on
You never wait. So wait,
uh,
Dragon Ball was like wait, Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball Z. I watched Dragon Balls on CNX, and that was about.
Yeah. I feel like
I was like,
watched Dragon Ball in the late '90s, so the
Yeah,
the
that's
edited
right.
version for Cartoon Network, basically.
Yeah, still didn't stop him from airing 10 episodes of Spirit Bomb. That misses.
No, not the kind of like qualitative editing, but so much the sort of slightly less violence editing.
The 4 kids editing,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
notorious.
To be fair, probably all that's left at that point is 10 episodes of Spirit Bomb charging. So makes sense to me.
Well, they still had Mr. Popo in it though, didn't they?
They do have Mr. Popo. He is
Yeah.
Mr.
Popo.
Popo is a problem. He's a
He is.
problematic character. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's questionable when it came out, and it's questionable now.
I feel like we might have the answer to that question at this point, to be fair. Uh, I think my route is kind of similar to yourself then. Like, I started probably about 20 odd years ago, and by watching one of the Fist of the North Star movies when I was far too young, I think was probably my introduction.
The only Fist in the North Star movie.
Yeah, okay, that one. The one where he pushes his fingers through the guy and kills him.
Yeah, and had the series. Oh, I forgot. I watched like the original Devilman. Well,
Oh,
that
I
was kind of brutal.
that was in the '90s too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
feel
think it was.
like we may have had this discussion before, but I feel like that was either on like Channel 4 or Channel 3 at stupid o'clock at night.
Yep, that's when you get all the best anime. That's when.
Yep.
That's,
I used to watch that and
yeah, that
Police
was.
Academy the series on Channel 5 when that was the thing.
Was that live action?
Mhm. I believe there was a Police
Oh
Academy
Jesus!
cartoon as well, but
Yeah, there was. I remember
yeah.
that.
But there was legit a live action series as well. that I used to watch for some reason because, why not? It's 2 in the morning and you're watching Channel 5. Um
I, if it's not porn,
it was one of the things that was not porn on Channel 5. Um,
softcore porn.
it was basically that channel's thing for such a long time, like such a long time. And that was the show. That was the TV channel that wasn't airing Eurotrash. So
Hmm.
you know,
Good old Eurotrash.
I went on a sort of a wiki dive one day reading about Eurotrash, and like that ran till like 2006 or something like that. It's
Yeah,
way
it's
longer
weird.
than I
It went
thought.
under. Didn't it end up going under a different disguise as well?
Possibly, being non-prepubescent child, by that point, I probably was less interested. Um, in a
Ah,
show that just idolized Lola Ferrari. That's pretty much the whole
yeah, she was
shtick.
that. Yeah, I think she put me off breasts.
I think that's understandable since she had I believe when she died, her coffin was had to be custom made. Probably,
Yeah,
probably
I
just a shipping container. Uh,
I remember them being the size of footballs or soccer balls if you're from the US.
yeah, if not larger potentially, in the end.
Mm.
But anyway, I digress.
Ugh.
I watched those. Watched a bit of Devilman. I ended up watching Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and then when I went to uni, that's when it sort of got a bit more. As I think, as is the way it works, I ended up watching like Trigun, Helsing, um, uh, and various other bits and pieces. I think the last thing I'm trying to think what the last thing I watched was. Oh, my memory for this stuff sucks. It's been too long. Um, it has been far too long. I think probably the last thing I remember watching in earnest was probably Shinsekai Yori, which was the
Yeah, Yuri.
is it in the New World?
Maybe.
I remember
Don't think I watched that
specifically
one.
because I like paid for Crunchyroll to watch it.
Oh, was that the tower thing that you were on about?
Oh no, actually, no, you're
Tower of
right.
Gods.
Tower of God. I did watch that. I
Hmm.
did watch that. That was last. That yeah, I did watch that. That was the last thing I watched in earnest,
Yeah.
and I made it through that in pretty quick. Actually, I made it through it so quickly that the dub hadn't caught up. I'd started watching the dub, and then it finished. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to go back to the start and watch it all in Japanese. So I did that, and I never went back and finished it in the
Yeah.
dub. Actually,
Uh, you can tell we're not true purists
no,
of the anime scene.
I think some of
One
the
thing.
dubs are fairly good, and I've watched like all of the major ones that I've watched in both, um, like Full
Yeah.
Metal Alchemist and Hellsing and Trigun. I've all watched in Japanese and in English. They both have their merits.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched the film Alchemist both. I watched it when it first came out, when it was the fan subs
Yep.
downloading the good old torrents back in the day.
Oh,
Um,
I watched Naruto until the first wave of filler crap.
all of it. I watched it maybe just can't remember. I watched it to they finished the whole tuning exam
Oh, I don't know if I
where
got.
the third Hoagie got killed by Orochimaru.
I watched it until like Naruto left the village with a frog ninja.
Yeah, that's just after that.
Yep, I watched it to that. So, yep, I was not interested in going back. So yes, uh, we've been talking about doing this for a while, mostly because I've been reliving my enjoyment of Dragon Ball Z with the Blu-rays of Dragon Ball Z Kai, um, and we've been discussing the idea of maybe talking about terrible anime, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of it. There's a lot of
there is.
really not good stuff.
So I'm not entirely sure why you chose Golden Boy.
Well, do you want me to tell you why? Like we can get into
Uh
this right here and now. Is that remember remember when we were discussing this the other night, and I sent you that video of the dub of him swimming?
huh.
That I chose it because of
Yeah.
that. That was it. I chose it because that was the best dub I'd ever seen in my life. Um, it was just so bad. Uh, so yeah, I had to know what the rest of the show was about. I wish I hadn't asked that question, but hindsight being 2020, here we are right now, and we're talking about Golden Boy. So I think
Yeah.
that the format we're going to try and work with is we're going to watch a couple of episodes a week and talk them over each week. The Golden Boy will be done in 3 weeks because there are not that many episodes, unsurprisingly.
Oh, it's
It
a anime from the 90s.
was it 95, right?
95 to 96 apparently. It's no
Yeah,
AV.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
it's it is something. Do you want to? Should we start? We can start. I don't. Yeah, Ep-
yeah. Let's
episode
start
one
with the
or the theme tune.
episode. The theme tune. We should start with the theme tune. As if you've started watching the start of the show, you'll notice the theme tune. And that's the
Hmm.
theme tune for at least the English dub side. I have
Yep.
not checked on the Japanese side. Um,
But coincidentally, we know the German one's different because we heard that earlier just before starting the show.
yeah, it was, maybe that was the Japanese one.
Potentially, who knows?
Yeah. Um, yeah, so the start of the anime, the intro, if it didn't have like the filler before to tell you what's actually happening in it, you would think it was like some hardcore serious anime, with just looking at his eyes at the start, and
Yep,
he's got his like serious face on, and then he's getting ready to go out and ride a bike, and you would think, oh, this anime is about riding a bike. It's not about riding a bike.
it's Paperboy, the
Only,
anime. You,
yeah,
you can even see him
wow,
on his little bike in the bottom of the image there as well.
yeah, he was riding the bike. And then the music is quality. I like the music. It's very suited for a chat show like
I
this.
You say it's a chat show. I would say it sounds like Japanese supermarket sweep. It's,
Game show.
but yeah, you're right. It's oh man, it is something. Uh, See if I can maybe just give that a blast. Hang on. Right, this might come in maybe too. I'm hoping it's not going to come in too loud. Okay,
Okay.
give this a try. Um, right here we go. Can you hear that?
Well, that's good in my ears. Yeah, yeah.
Wait for it.
Bit quiet.
Oh,
Bit more.
bit more, bit more.
Yeah.
More. It's like
It does.
I can imagine a montage of people winning prizes to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is bad. Uh, but I'm just gonna fade that out now. So that's what you're dealing with.
Fading.
That's what you're dealing with
Well,
that theme tune.
with the intro.
Yeah, it's yeah with the intro. I so this show does not know what it wants to be.
Oh, no, it sure does.
That music is not
Oh well,
in
yeah. No,
keeping with the rest of this thing.
I think that kind of the whole point.
I guess. So we kind of the first episode is called Computer Studies, and it
Yes.
has our protagonist. Is it Kentaro Oe or Oe Kentaro?
Guitar Ori. Yeah.
Uh,
Guitar Ori.
okay, and then he's on his bike, and then a really bad driver appears behind him, like in a yellow Ferrari, I think it is, right?
Ferrari or Lamborghini.
Yeah, and just like I don't. I also am very unsure as to why he struggles with stopping, but they kind of skid past him and come to a halt in front of him, and then he seems to just like wave the wheel in front of him back and forward and not push the brakes, and then crashes into some bins.
That's because he was surprised because he was wearing his
His
Walkman.
headphones. Yeah, he does say that, doesn't he? Those are the
No,
dangers of
that's it.
wearing headphones while
Yeah,
cycling.
it was it was the two girls that he passed on the way there. It was just that. Don't you think guys that are wearing Walkman, they just like singing out loud, and they're all.
That's
Don't you
right.
think they're just big giant dorks?
I forgot because he's going. He like is singing what I can only assume is his own theme tune because he's going like ba 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 and then just like smash into the bins.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And then of course the car comes to a grinding halt, and and of course we can't we see who gets out the car, but we see who gets out the car mainly from the midriff. And it is and this is setting the tone for the rest of the show is a scantily clad blonde who will then later, and by later I mean when the camera pans up, will be revealed to have just large breasts that of course
yeah.
have the physics of a DOA game. um
Yep,
and of
bouncing all
course,
everywhere.
yeah, she's really worried that she might have hurt him, of course, sort of, maybe. I'm not even sure if she's really that concerned.
No, she just wanted to pay him off.
That's right. She's more concerned that he might try and sue or something.
Yeah,
So
but here's 10,000 yen or dollars.
it says $10,000. That seems like a lot of money. To just give someone for what was it? Your medical bills, your dry cleaning, and get a new bike.
Yeah,
It's
we. It depends on how badly injured he was, but he obviously was not injured because he stood up.
he did. He stood up immediately, saying it wasn't that bad. But then it's like, oh, I guess I made a mess.
I'll better clean that up.
Yep. Um, I do. I particularly enjoy the bit, of course, where she throws the money at him, and he's like, $10,000. Hey, lady, I can't take this. And of course, he like grabs her by the shoulder. She doesn't take too kindly to that, and like just like slaps him upside the head. But
Yeah.
the great bit, of course, is the static camera that just focuses her on her and the way her breasts move after she's hit him. That's how that works. Uh,
Yes,
she,
that's
she
it.
she didn't like that. And then she drives away.
Just Mhm.
Then she drives away.
erratically.
Yeah, as badly as she arrived on the scene for driving, she
Mhm.
clearly cannot drive that car or any car potentially. Who knows? Um,
Also, those streets are pretty narrow. That thing filled up the entire street.
it did. If that was a two-way street, there are problems. There's some serious issues
Yeah,
going on there. But of course,
and she can turn literally right angles.
yeah, of course. I mean, to be fair, like I imagine if you put enough acceleration in those things, they'll just spin all day. So of course
Yeah,
she
that's true.
leaves, and he rather than going to get his bike, go and get a new bike, he gets his bike fixed, which I initially thought was just him being cheap, but I think it's somewhat more of the idea he likes the bike he has.
Yeah, he's. I don't know. I don't think he's cheap. I just think he likes the bike he has, uh, rather than go out and buy a new bike.
Fair enough. And of course, he gets it fixed at the old man's bike store, who won't take any money for it because it's not actually broken. It was just a little bent. Um, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, come back. I don't want any money. Just come back and remember that I'm here when your kids need bikes." And he's like, "Great." He goes to leave, and then all of a sudden, the Yakuza are there. One with a Russian accent, I think, in the dub, which is pretty good, or well, accent in quotations. Um,
Yeah, that's true.
and it's clear that they want money from said old man. This is actually
Yeah.
probably the part where I think I genuinely laughed at this part. There was not. I was mostly just uncomfortable with the whole thing, but of course he like goes into that sort of very serious anime drawing style and attitude of it's like, oh, what's that? The Yakuza are here, and he
Yeah.
starts walking towards them, and they like turn around and look at him. And just as he's about to get to the old man in the Yakuza, he just turns off to the left and leaves. I, I genuinely burst out laughing at that because I actually felt like the comedic timing was really well done, despite the show's many other flaws. That was genuinely quite funny.
Yeah, it was good. Good quality humor.
Yes, very much so.
And then of course he hasn't just run away down there. He just starts
Stu-
sitting in the corner taking notes as this old
Studying.
man's about to get beaten up.
Yeah, yeah. So he's like, this is his whole thing. I think is the whole thing of the series is that he and it explains this in detail at the end of the episode, where he was a law student who dropped out despite having completed all of his coursework to complete the degree, and now
Mhm.
takes small jobs all over the country to learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're telling you that now because this might make more sense knowing that now than at the end of the episode. Because it's there are so many other reasons to ask what the fuck you just watched, and that doesn't need to be one of them. Um,
Oh, sure it does.
yeah, I think so, of course he's studying this, and then it cuts to him going to his job, right? Like this is the whole thing is he's going to his new job, and he's being ushered into this place where he's met by the woman at the front, and it's a computer place somewhere that does
Yeah.
software employed entirely by women.
Yep.
That seems to meet the
Well, there
needs
you
of
go.
the narrative.
The narrative of this episode, anyway.
Well, I think it's like the narrative of most episodes is that we'll get there, but he's not he's not a nice guy, Kentaro. He's a problematic figure.
He only has problematic tendencies.
Yes,
He has, he's
people have gone to prison with these kind of problematic tendencies. So
very much so, yes. But
we'll get on to that though.
yeah, that's spoiler territory. So yeah, so he's employed by this computer place, and who's the manager in the place?
It's Blondie McBigboobs, I guess. I don't know if she has a name.
No, she got a name.
If she has, I mean, I will.
Uh,
We'll just refer to
mentioned
her
twice.
as my queen.
My God.
So of course, he, you know, makes an arse of himself quite quickly. Um, and then he's been hired at a computer firm. Actually, in fact, hang on, I've got here we go. He's been hired at a computer firm where he doesn't know what job he's going to be doing. He doesn't know anything about what he's supposed to be doing, and he ends up being a janitor. So they basically get him like a pair of rubber gloves and get him cleaning the toilet. Is the first thing they get him to do.
Because the boss didn't like him.
Yeah, the boss didn't like him, and then the worrying part is that he really likes cleaning that toilet.
Yes,
Really
yes,
likes
that
cleaning
is
that toilet.
it's the throne
I That is the
of
first
his
moment.
queen.
Yeah, that is the first moment where I kind of started feeling a level of uncomfort, like discomfort that I hadn't felt in a while watching something. Um, it was unexpected to a degree because I didn't read any more into this other than watching that one video where the dub was really bad when he was trying to swim. Um, and yet here we are. He's super interested in where she sits to pee.
Yeah, super interested.
Yeah, to the point
And of
where
course,
he's
she
she bursts in. Is
yeah,
he?
and
Is it
he's
now?
run.
And I may be
He,
conflating this with the second episode. He's either rubbing his face on the seat, which is bad enough, but I think he might be drinking from the bidet. Or is that a further perverted thing he does later on in another episode?
I quite mentioned that potentially that might be the second episode.
Fair
Because
enough.
yeah, the second episode because she ended up taking him to her room to dry her face, and it wasn't a bidet.
That's
It
no.
was the squirter function on the toilets as
Well, it's
apparently
it's
Japanese people
a
have.
bidet function in your toilet.
Yeah, yeah. But they function in your toilet.
Yeah, but he
Anyway,
was getting super close and personal with that toilet seat, and then she was really unhappy that he was doing that. Quite rightly, because what the
yeah.
fuck are you doing?
Uh-huh.
Don't be a pervert. Don't be a creep. Uh, and hence we have this sort of, as we discussed, problematic character who is now doing really gross stuff in a software company employed entirely by women.
In toilet, yeah.
It's real rough. It's real rough. I
Yeah.
like felt so uncomfortable watching it. Um,
I did warn you.
you did, and I watched it twice because I went back to take notes, and I wish I hadn't. Um, it's
I've only watched it once.
You are once better than off than I. Um, and
Or
then
maybe I've watched it twice. I might have watched it way back in the day.
further to this, of course, is that he then kind of like he not he gets in like a shouting match with her about how he wants to prove himself.
Yes. That's not after she spits at him in disgust, and then he catches it in his mouth.
He does do that, and it's really awful, and I hate it. Again, like it's just because he does this sort of yeah, like really obvious. I'm gonna catch this spit in my mouth. Noise and
Hey, let's
motion.
happen.
He
Yeah.
was thrilled about that.
Yeah.
I have that, but of course he then wants to prove his worth by showing all of the developers at this software company uh, how good a job he can do with computers. And I have this great sound effect
Yeah.
here.
Since I didn't have a computer, I had to teach myself using a keyboard made of paper.
So kind of like I think this sort of buries the lead a little bit, but that sounds really dumb. It's like I didn't have a computer, so I guess I just used, this piece of paper that I drew a keyboard on, and then like a box.
Yeah.
And then there's some
Yep.
programming jokes where it's like, isn't this a little basic? Ha 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 ha. No, this is in C. Ha ha ha.
No, no. Was it C major or something?
It's
Something
it's
like that.
yeah,
And
it's not in C general. But yeah, isn't this a
yeah,
little basic?
which he mistook as as what's C base? Oh, it's
C
C base. That was what
C
it was.
base, that's what it is. Yeah, yeah. Which I'm
And he was thinking, yeah,
yeah, it's like
he was thinking it was third or second base. What's C base?
yeah,
Let's
C
find out.
base. Let's so well, first base is this and second base is this, and then he just starts chasing the women around the office in this just
Yeah,
horrifying display of being a total pervert. It's terrible. Like, why? Why would he do that?
why would anyone do that?
Agreed. Like, why would anyone? And in fact, here we go.
Life is a mystery.
Yeah, there we go. Life is a mystery. Like, why would you do that? Why? And then he somehow at this point still has a job, despite them being really pissed off at him for all of that. And then he ends up what is he? He ends up for some reason cleaning out the locker room, where he's like cleaning that out, and then ends up stuck in one of the lockers because
Oh.
all the women come in.
No, that's because he found a bra.
A bag falls in his head and a bra falls out, and he has a complete meltdown, and then for some reason puts the bra on.
That's right. And then they all started coming in, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Instead of like taking the bra off, I'll hide in this locker.
In fact, I have that very quote.
Oh, shit!
Yep.
It's so good. Like, I really, really want him to get his comeuppance, like, because he's such an awful human being. Like, at this point, I wished death upon him. I couldn't be bothered with him. He's just so terrible. And then he basically watches them all get changed, as you would, and then they leave. So like he waits there until night and then comes out and it's like, oh, it's nighttime. I know what's a good idea. I'll make sure that everything that needs turned off gets turned off. And like there's a light still on, so he switches off the light. There's a computer still on, so he switches the computer off. And then he looks down and he's like, oh, what's this computer? It's like a server rack that obviously should not be turned off. He's like, there's no power button.
Yep.
I guess I'll just pull the power plug. Who does that? What normal human does that? He's supposed to be like an educated person to a degree.
He's not educated in computing, is he? And he's pretty
No.
much living a hobo life.
He is,
Just,
yeah.
the scene that he's living on the streets with a sleeping bag and learning the computing on a bit of paper.
Yes.
You forgot to mention that he tried to show his mighty power by trying to show him his skills, and only to find out that C base, yeah,
C base
was actually a programming language.
Yep. That they
and
were
not
using.
Basic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not Visual Basic, the programming language.
Or Basic. I think he was talking about Basic, the old.
Oh yeah, I guess like
old,
Visual Basic.
Fortran.
I never learned Basic. I learned Visual Basic.
Mm.
Yeah, and at this point, of
Oh,
course,
funny.
what's her name? The really scantily clad boss comes back out and is like, "What in the hell are you doing? Why? What?
Oh, no.
It's like, why did you turn off all this shit?
Who turned off my server?
Oh yeah, and he's like, I did, because he's imagining
Did
that she's going to be like, oh, how energy efficient.
you are, yeah. And only for her to like beat him down to a pulp and then stomp on his head repeatedly.
Oh, it's so good. He so deserves it.
Uh,
She is this the part? This is the part where she like takes his notebook and like rips it up in front of him.
rips it.
So like this notebook, the one he
Yeah.
was using earlier on to like take notes when that old guy was getting hassled by the Yakuza, because that's what he does. He's not only a voyeur of women, he's a voyeur of life.
Yeah.
He
Take notes and then
Yep.
yeah.
So the reason, of course, that she's beating the ever loving crap out of him and rips up his notebook is because he they basically they have a delivery of a piece of software to a client, and they're going to miss the date for the first time ever. But she basically runs him out of the office and tells him never to come back. And then we get, what is it, like 2 weeks later, we head back to the office, or we see back in the office, and all of the employees are run down and tired from trying to basically redo months worth of work in like a few weeks. And the boss has just about had it, thinking that she's going to have to admit defeat, when all of a sudden one of the people shouts out, "Hey, look at this." And it turns out to be the software. But not just the software. Originally, she's like, "Oh, it must be a backup disk. Maybe he took a backup. Was he just trying to trick me this whole time, and like being some sort of elaborate troll by taking a backup of it and then powering everything down?" And the answer is no. It turns out that he's not like a total idiot, and actually did everyone's work and learned how to program in the time he got fired to then.
Like a few days.
Yeah, like maybe a week, maybe.
Yeah. He did a lot of observing of the girls working.
He did. He was in multiple ways. One sometimes with them working, and others just looking at them. Because his notepad is full of like useful things, but also very lewd drawings of women most of the time.
Yeah,
So.
that's why I think he went, "Oh shit!" Wasn't that where you could take that from? Because he threw the book at the lady, and he's like, "Oh shit! I just threw my like secret."
And it was that one page where it was like drawings of women and not anything useful.
Oh shit!
That is the greatest sound drop. I cannot believe I got that. Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, they're like super shocked, and I believe that she said it's something like, "It's like, oh, he just dropped this off." So the boss lady runs out. Everybody runs out of the office to try and find which way he went, and lo and behold, here's old man bicycle shop and his elderly wife walking up to the office asking if they know where he is, because they've got money for him that he paid off the Yakuza. She thought he'd wasted all the money. No, he hadn't. He'd given them the money to pay off the Yakuza.
Yeah.
So he's not a total arsehole. But he is, but he's not.
No.
I hate that they make me so conflicted on this, because he's terrible.
The whole point of his character.
Oh my god, it's so rage-inducing.
Yeah.
It made me so angry to even feel a modicum of like, oh, he is a nice person. But yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out
that's episode 1.
Yeah, he helped a lot of people. And of course, the blonde boss drives away into the night trying to find him. But of course,
he was the real deal.
Yeah, he was. Turns out this whole time it wasn't just bravado.
Since I didn't have a computer, I had to teach myself using a keyboard made of paper.
That was the decoy right there. Like, you just think he's a total moron, and it's like, no, he's just improvisational and actually very intelligent, which is again very annoying. But there you go. And that's the thing is of course at this point we start to get the format of the show where he's basically going to take a new job every episode, and that's it. So
Yeah,
we never hear we I don't know. I haven't watched episodes 3 to 6 yet. We may never hear from the people in the first episode ever again.
maybe not.
Probably not.
I have watched 3.
You've watched
I
3. Oh
watched.
god.
Yeah,
Here was me like a sucker watching episodes 1 and 2 again.
yeah. Well, it's. I don't know. I feel it's fitting for the kind of like the humor of anime back in that time,
Sure. It's
and the more mature market is kind of maybe meant to go towards with the mature like sentiment underneath.
yeah, I can yeah, I can get that. I guess I still don't like it, but yeah. I think I don't know if I would have liked it then. Still don't like it now. Uh, so yeah, he then
I
moves on basically.
yeah, I would say I would prefer over some of the modern anime because modern anime is getting a bit bad for that.
It as fan servicey as it was, which it was. Uh,
Not the
it,
worst fan service ever seen.
no, no, most definitely not. Um, I'll give it some points for at least genuinely making me laugh a couple of times. Like
Yeah,
in particular,
Oh shit!
like that actually made me burst out laughing. It's incredible. And like I say, the bit where he he looks as if he's going to stand up to the Yakuza and just fucks off down the alley to start to start taking notes on what's happening, really made me laugh. Because I thought they were going to like establish like how nice a guy was right out the gate, and instead they give you that sort of false narrative straight away that he's a terrible person, which he is a terrible person, but he's not that kind of terrible person. He's just a sex pest.
yeah, yeah. It's questionable.
Agreed. So, what
It,
if you were to rate this episode out of 10 in terms of your enjoyment, would you give it?
oh, actually, I enjoy this anime. I don't know. I always kind of like I've been going kind of back into the older stuff
Mm-hmm.
these days. I seem to enjoy it in that sense. There's like the kind of like hand drawn aspect, and it's not just computer graphic aid type stuff.
Yep.
And it was fairly humorous in the fact that he was such a terrible person, and he was truly awful in that. But he, it's just his the voice actor did it well. I think voice actor, he knows it like not the greatest dub,
No.
but he certainly carried the humor through it,
Yes.
where he was like, policy didn't seem that smart until he the very like last 5 minutes of the film, where he's like, oh, he's done all this work in like a week.
That's a valid point. I think it's interesting because like although I don't think the actual script for the dub is particularly good at all, he definitely conveys the sense of the scene well, even though the script's trash.
Yeah, well, the whole premise of the episode's trash. It
Yeah,
seems.
you're not wrong. So what do you give it?
I like I say I was enjoying it, so I'm going to give it 7 turkeys out of 10.
7 turkeys.
But we've all
I I did not hate it as much as I probably should. I think I'm probably gonna give it a 5 because it did make me laugh a few times. And that intro music's pretty dope. So
Intro,
okay,
yeah, the intro's pretty dope. I
so
think there's an actual episode where he does end up cycling as fast as a motorcycle or something stupid because he sees attractive women on it.
I cannot wait for that because this show
Yeah,
is
I'm pretty sure.
ridiculous. And I think
Yeah,
that
I'm sure I've seen that.
this episode, and we're about to talk about episode 2, which is called "Temptation of the Maiden." Um, I feel that they set a tone with the first episode and then doubled down on that quite severely in this one. Do you know?
Oh yeah, I suppose.
I feel like there are a lot of things we should probably talk about in this one. So I feel like the core conceit of this episode is that he is going to work as sort of a campaign worker for an ex Yakuza boss's run for governor.
Yeah. Well, X.
Well, he's still an influential Yakuza member, it would seem, because he continues to win.
Very much so.
Yes,
Yes, and has Yakuza working for him.
he does. Yes. Um,
Even the Yakuza joins in and makes things good for him.
well, the whole premise is that it's like, and if he wins, we're gonna get to go to the whorehouse. It's like, yay! You'll
That is true,
enjoy,
yeah.
you'll
And
enjoy that. And he's like, yeah, I've never been to the
yeah,
red light district. Hooray! He seems like kind of happy
he
about that. I
certainly
suppose.
did get distracted.
Yes. But of course, the main purpose of this episode is that the Yakuza wannabe governor or returning governor might have a daughter that's of interest to young Kentaro. Kentaro, I say young Kentaro. He's 25 years old. Can we talk about how old this girl is?
I don't know how old she is. She still
I'm
goes
go-
to school.
I'm going to suggest too young is is the classification for that. And I don't know why it didn't click with me to the end of the episode where I was like, hang on a minute. This is when he's like, I'm Kentaro Oe and I'm 25 years old. And you're like, no, wait, that's bad. That's bad. Everything you've done here is just so bad. So bad. You
She
freaking
could
weirdo.
be in her senior years.
She could be, but wow, it's not good. It's not
7
good.
years difference, potentially.
At minimum. It's like at minimum. I don't think she's supposed
Yeah.
to be 18. But we're of course introduced to her by her not having any underwear on, I think, or having very tight underwear on is the sort of whole thing because he's looking up at her onto a balcony.
That's right. And she's an angel graced his presence at that point, I believe is
That
his line.
that is very true. He does he referred to the other woman as my queen, and this is my angel. And then he gets kind of obsessed with her, thinking that she's some sort of very innocent young girl who he can be a pervert to. But that turns out not to be not to be the case.
No.
She's she is far more manipulative than that, and seems to want to play him on this whole thing. So
Very much so.
she ends up, is it like she basically, there's so much innuendo in this episode. So frequent, such frequent. There is more toilet humor, of course, as we discussed. He does end
Toilet
up.
humor
Well, I say toilet humor.
does
He
last
is
longer.
drinking of the drinking of the cleaning fluid of the toilet when she finds him and offers him a towel to get cleaned up.
Yeah. And then that's where
They kind of get to
she's
talking more.
yeah. And then she kind of strips in front of him.
She does, because why not?
And And he looks away. He was like, I shouldn't be looking at this.
He does.
Oh wait, there's a mirror.
It's like, I shouldn't be looking at this, but I can if I look away still. So whatever.
Oh, he complains about it. It's
He
like,
does.
damn my filthy eyes,
Yes,
or
damn
something
them,
like that.
damn them indeed.
Yeah.
He's just creepy overall. Um, and then the kind of whole thing of their game of cat and mouse, as it were, of her teasing him, lots of boner jokes, and references to the word
Boing, 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 boing.
coming meaning different things in various scenarios. And then I think she sort of she tricks him into being her tutor for maths.
Yeah. She was like, I can't understand these equations or something like that. Well,
The
you help me.
fractions, they're
And he's like,
fractions. She can't do fractions. That should be proof of her age right there.
I can't do fractions.
But
I'm not 16.
God, thrown my theory right out the window.
I did.
But
Fractions
yeah,
are
they're not that difficult.
my enemy.
You get your denominator.
Uh-huh. And then a 2. That's the half. And you
Well,
get 2 of those, you get a whole.
Yeah.
And then
The
you get
idea
1
is
and
that
3,
you just
you get 3.
you make sure that they have if they have you make the denominator common and add them together, take away. That's it. That's all she was doing, and she couldn't do it.
Pretty sure she said, aha, I can totally do this. Type
Oh,
thing.
you're right. Actually, she was just fooling, wasn't she?
Yeah,
she's just messing with him.
She's just messing with him because she knows what her dad will do. It's like, you won't touch me because you'll be scared of my dad, type thing.
That is very true. And of course, there's the scene where she's like, maybe you could like come and teach me some stuff while her nipples are falling out of her top for whatever reason that is. And of course, Kentaro has a total freak out at the sight of this, and agrees to come back. I think she doesn't think he'll last a second because she thinks he's going to freak out and leave because he knows what her dad's going to do, and then doesn't, and then ends up as like, I guess I could come back every night and tutor you on maths. And she's like, wait, every night? Yep. It's like, okay, I guess.
I
And
thought it was the other way around.
Oh, was it?
I thought it was her. I'm sure it was her asking that.
Oh,
And
maybe
he was like, wait, every night? Oh,
maybe
and he
it
was
is
like
the other way
jumping for
around.
joy.
I feel like maybe I feel like it maybe fucked up for her. I don't think she really wanted that. Or maybe I'm conflating something else.
No, she was just teasing him completely and utterly for an entire episode until he annoys her for some reason.
Yes.
I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it's no. She takes notice of the book, his notebook, of course, that he's continually taking notes down in, and by notes I mean drawings of a young schoolgirl, which should be a problem. A crime. It is a crime. He's committing a crime.
Especially in this country.
Oh, shit!
It is a crime.
Yeah.
And then she pretends to faint and like takes the notebook off from behind him, and then realizes that actually he's been aware of how she's been behaving this whole time. he's just been dealing with it.
Yeah, he thinks that she's got some daddy issues and shit like that.
Yeah. And of course, the daddy issues, when he says that, that's what really sort of throws her off the deep end.
Yeah, she got really mad.
Real mad about that.
On the rage.
And then, of course, it cuts to, I think they're meeting again to do some tutoring. And she, like, walks up to him, holding a pair of scissors, cuts her clothes, with the scissors, and then it's like, hey, can you hold these scissors? And he's like, okay.
Sure.
But this again, and like this is another bit that made me genuinely laugh, because of course I know exactly what's about to happen here, but it's the setup for it is brilliant, because she just kind of like sits and looks and goes, ready to start screaming, and just like takes this really deep breath. It's so funny, and it shouldn't be. And of course, the boss, Yakuza boss man, and all of his Yakuzas come running because
Yeah,
the
'cause-
daughter's screaming.
Yep, and it was the day he won the election too.
Of course, that's right. He won the election.
Yeah.
And then Kentaro could have got to the whorehouse too.
Yep. He also should mention that Kitaro's been sneaking into the house.
Yep.
I don't think the parents knew
No,
that he
They-
was coming to the house and tutoring the daughter
they did not.
in a really creepy way. Yes.
And I think like at that point, the message from Big Yakuza Man is, well, just beat the ever loving shit out of him.
Yeah.
That's it.
He
And
wa-
they start kicking the crap out of him.
Yeah, one of the Yakuza guys in the campaign office did tell him to stay away from the daughter because the last guy it touched her had concrete shoes on in the river, and
That
he
is
may
true.
or not have been the person that threw him in the river.
I may have forgotten
that is
about
his
that.
quote.
I may or
He
may not have
quoted
been
some-
that person.
Something along those lines. It was essentially he was just saying, "I heard that this what happened to this guy" type thing. Of course, it definitely wasn't me. It did it type thing.
Oh,
That was a-
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Anyway, so he got the shit beaten out of him
Of course.
because he stood up.
Well,
Because she wanted him to grovel in front of his father. It's like he's going to
That's-
grovel in front of my dad,
yep, that's right.
but he didn't.
Oh wait,
just took the
no,
beating.
because they beat the shit out of him because he grabs her and kisses her, and instead of like, groveling, says he's like, "Oh, I'm in love with your daughter," sort of thing. It's like, well,
Yeah,
this seems like a bad plan. She's a child, and also, who the fuck are you? Why are you in my house? And yeah, they beat the ever loving snot out of him, and she eventually stops it because she realizes she was really wrong about him. And again, we get to this lesson phase of it. For some reason, him being a pervert's just fine because deep down he's a nice guy.
he was lied on somewhat.
I don't know if
In
we
that
want
one?
to. We should be okay with like it's like I know he's a total sex pest, but he's a nice guy. He's really
Yeah,
inappropriate
I
with
mean-
children and women in general.
Yeah, it's like the worst. Worst, but I'm saying he's not entirely to blame in that episode. The first
No.
episode, he's entirely to blame.
You're right. She is the problem in the second one, or is a significant portion of the blame should be on her.
Yeah.
He was genuinely trying to be a nicer person and messed up. Although to be
Yeah.
fair, before she even started teasing him, he was like rubbing his face on the toilet and drinking from the water. So I just limited sympathy, limited.
Yeah, the toilet scenes are a bit why?
They're really difficult to get through. Like I'm not gonna yuck someone else's yum, to each their own, but that's a tough watch for me. That's a real tough watch. Not into it. Not into it. Not even a little bit. So yeah, and then
Power back.
he's of course like she stops them kicking the crap out of him, but it's kind of too late. He's already like a mess. he's totally to the point where he can't talk. Really beaten up. And
Yep.
and that's it. He then rides off into the sunset on
Yeah.
his bike.
Or is it?
Well, yeah, because then of course she's hanging about at the end, isn't she? Because she's still got his book.
Yeah, gets the boot back.
Yep.
And also the boss man is
Oh, he's
driving by
following.
too in the car.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, making sure he gets out of town
Yep. And of
because
course
he
it's
got
the
expelled.
yeah it's the whole thing of are you sure you want to just let him leave like this? And he's like, he didn't try to hide anything. You keep people like that around, and it's like, but yeah, but he was a pervert to your daughter for a long while too. So pick your battles, man. Like, guy, Kentaro should have been in the he should have been in the river with a pair of cement shoes, potentially a bag over his
Yeah.
head.
No, that's too nice.
But of course, even worse than that is he gets his book back, and inside the book is her pants.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because we can't just leave it on a semi nice note that she was like, when you come back into town, make sure you call me, because she wants him to take her virginity. Of course. Um,
One over another woman. That's two women, one over.
and then yeah, she has written her phone number on these pants as well, and yeah, not great.
No,
Not great.
not a
It's
way to act.
no. I
Oh,
would, as
shit!
far as I'm concerned, that is like mostly how I reacted to that entire episode. To be honest. Um. Okay, and that's
Yeah,
that's episode 2, Temptation of
yeah.
the
That's
Maiden.
that's the 2 episodes.
And so, what do you score that one?
Oh, that that was a bit more questionable.
Agreed.
Even somehow, I don't know how. There was less begging from Kintaro in that sense.
Yeah.
Uh, very much more leaned on by the other girl. Um,
Yes.
I think it would probably go down to maybe 4 turkeys.
That's a good thing, because I think we're on a par here. We're retaining our parallel scores, because I would give that a 2. Uh, I have written in my notes, this episode is gross.
Fair enough.
That was my
I did not write.
general note. Was this episode is gross. I do not like it, and like I say, I for some reason it took me to the end of it to go, oh, she's still in school. This is not okay.
First time or second time?
Oh, the first time, like I
All
watched
right.
the whole uncomfortable episode again, even more uncomfortable in the knowledge of what I just witnessed. So, yeah, there's that. Oh God, only 4 more episodes to go though.
Yeah.
So there's
Yep.
that.
I'm one ahead.
You
Only
are.
got
I'll need
3
to.
from me.
I'll need to catch up, and we can maybe do this again on Thursday next week.
Yeah, we should probably be able to do it. So, one thing I remember, uh, back in the day when I perused 4chan, uh,
Yep,
one of the many Flash, remember Flash? That's dead now.
it is. Yeah,
Scenes. Had like a copy of like the bit of, oh look, he's got a boner. Boing, 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 boing. That was
forgot
like one
about
of the
that.
things.
It's legitimately a dumb bit where she says boing.
Yeah.
It's really bad. It's like sub American Pie level bad. Oh,
Yeah.
my score was correct for that episode for my mind, for sure. So, yes, we will be back with another episode next week with 2 more episodes of Golden Boy, episodes 3 and 4, and then back again the week after that to discuss episodes 5 and 6. And at that point, I think we've already talked about what the next anime is that we're gonna do.
We're going on the cult classic, Chargeman Ken.
Yep, I think that will probably end up being the next. There's more episodes of that, but they're shorter, right? So
I think they're 5 minutes, and can you really call it an anime?
I mean that
as far as my understanding, it doesn't animate very well. There's multiple frames missing in their animation.
correct. From what I've seen of Chargeman Ken, it is not well animated, shall we say? But
Yeah.
oh well. Cool. You wanna see us out?
Yeah. So, it's been Couch Fuel. It's been Who's That Anime? Golden Boy.
Golden Boy.
Golden Boy.
Oh, shit!
No, just Golden Boy.
That is going to be commonly used outside of this episode. It's just too good. I actually have a Golden Boy button on my Stream Deck now. It takes me into my Golden Boy soundboard that I have created.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good old, see, it's brought you much joy.
It has, in a way. Cool. We will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye, folks.
Bye for now.